You weren't placed here by accident. If these words have found you, it's because you are one of the few, the ones chosen to awaken, to lead, to transform. The law of karma isn't just a spiritual idea. It's the pulse behind every moment, every thought, every intention. This isn't just about doing good or avoiding harm. This is about understanding the cosmic rule book that governs the rise or fall of those on the path. You are being called into awareness, into mastery, because one careless move, one unconscious act can shift the trajectory of your entire journey. But with wisdom and alignment, you become unstoppable. Karma is not here to punish. It's here to mirror, to shape, to respond. It doesn't forget. It doesn't miss a beat. Every decision you make sets something in motion. Think of it not as a silent force, but as a living contract between who you are now and who you are meant to become. When you move with purpose, when your actions come from clarity and truth, karma becomes your ally, not your downfall. This is your moment. Not everyone is ready for this truth, but if you are, then step into it fully. Walk like you know the universe is listening, because it is, and every step you take will echo far beyond what you can see. Don't just watch, be part of the journey. Hit subscribe now and step into your purpose. The best is yet to come. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. Imagine standing at the edge of a wide river. The current is strong, moving swiftly in one direction. For years, maybe decades, you've watched that water flow the same way, carrying the weight of your choices, your pain, maybe even your regrets. But here's the truth. Most people miss. Rivers can be redirected. With enough faith, enough focus, and enough surrender, God gives you the tools to reshape the flow. See, life isn't a movie already filmed. It's not some concrete fate set in stone. No, life is clay in your hands. And the potter, the one who formed the stars and still knows your name, invites you to co-create. Every thought, every word, every step, you're shaping the form. That's how powerful your spirit is when it's aligned with divine intention. The unseen forces that guide tomorrow, they're not chained to yesterday's failures. They respond to your will, your prayers, your belief. That means no matter how far off track things have gone, no matter what storm you've weathered, you can choose again. You can speak life into what felt like dead ends. You can reroute what once seemed set in motion. There's a quiet invitation in every breath, a whisper from heaven saying, "Let's begin again." You don't have to accept what was handed to you if it doesn't match what God put in your heart. That addiction, that broken relationship, that setback, none of it defines you. It's just the old current. But now, you're the one holding the shovel. You can dig a new channel, redirect the stream, rewrite the story. Because friend, renewal is not a one-time thing. It's not a rare miracle. It's the nature of God's grace. And it's waiting, right beneath the surface of your awareness. All you have to do is choose it. What we set into motion through our decisions, small or grand, rarely ends in isolation. The outcomes twist through time, extending beyond our line of sight, bending events we may never witness. A glance of compassion might lighten a stranger's burden, setting off a silent momentum that alters a dozen unseen paths. Conversely, bitterness flung in haste can fracture unseen foundations, shaking distant moments we'll never trace. Action is not a point, it's a thread. And with each thread woven, the shape of tomorrow subtly shifts. Don't just watch, be part of the journey. Hit subscribe now and step into your purpose. The best is yet to come. Galatians 6:4-5 says, "Each one should test their own actions, for each one should carry their own load." That's God's way of saying, you've got your lane, you've got your assignment, and not everything that knocks on your door belongs in your hands. See, life isn't random, it's divinely woven. Each life, each moment, each soul is threaded into a vast living design. Like strands in a tapestry, we're connected, yes, but not confused. Your thread matters, your movement matters, but your rhythm, that's between you and the one who created you. Think of an orchestra. Every instrument has its own part, its own timing, its own sound. When each player stays true to their note, the music soars. But if the violin tries to play the trumpet's part, or the drummer jumps ahead of the conductor, the harmony breaks down. That's how life works. We're part of something shared, but the responsibility is still personal. God didn't call you to play every part. He didn't ask you to solve every storm, carry every weight, or fix what was never yours to begin with. There's a sacred boundary woven into the fabric of life. And when we honor that boundary, when we say, "This is not mine to carry," we're not being selfish, we're being faithful. Because here's the truth, carrying someone else's consequences might feel kind, but over time, it leads to confusion. You start losing track of your own peace, your own path, and the one you're carrying, they lose the chance to grow, to learn, to rise. God designed balance into this universe, and part of that balance is knowing what's yours and what's not. You can still love deeply, support gently, pray boldly, but don't inherit storms you didn't summon. Don't let guilt make you pick up burdens God never placed in your hands. Stay in your part, play your note, trust the conductor, and watch how the whole symphony begins to move in beauty and order, just as He intended. Long ago, in a time unmeasured by clocks, a wanderer came across a vessel at the foot of a mountain, heavy, cracked, and sealed tight with cords. Carved into its surface were markings foreign to his own journey. But sensing a need to be useful, he hoisted the weight and climbed. With each step, the vessel grew colder, heavier, more foreign. His back bent, his breath shortened, and yet the mountain gave no sign of ending. At the summit, he collapsed, the vessel unopened, its origin still unknown. The burden was never his to bear, and in that moment, the truth revealed itself. Not all loads are virtuous to lift. Some weights, when adopted without understanding, fracture not only the spine, but the soul. There are burdens that feel noble to carry, things we pick up in the name of love, duty, or loyalty. We tell ourselves, "This is my cross to bear," and it sounds holy. It feels right. But let me remind you, not every cross is your cross. Jesus said in Matthew 11:30, "For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." That means, if what you're carrying is crushing you, draining you, breaking your spirit little by little, it might not be from Him. Imagine a tree standing tall in the middle of a field. Its branches are wide, its roots deep. Now picture someone coming by and hanging weights on those branches. At first, the tree holds. It's strong, but over time, the extra weight causes its limbs to sag. The roots strain. It still looks like a tree, still stands like one, but its energy is no longer going into growing or bearing fruit. It's all going into just not breaking. That's how many of us live. What started as silent strength becomes quiet suffering. We carry other people's storms, shoulder loads that were never meant for us, and somewhere in the middle of it all, we start to forget who we were created to be. The ground beneath our calling shifts. There's a difference between compassion and codependence. One lifts, the other drains. One gives life, the other takes it. Some call it love, but if loving them means losing you, then that's not love. That's self-betrayal, dressed up like virtue. You've got to ask yourself, is this my burden, or did I pick it up out of guilt? Is this my assignment, or am I just trying to be the answer to everything and everyone? Friend, God never called you to fix what only He can heal. There is wisdom in walking away from what looks righteous but feels heavy in your spirit. There is holiness in saying, "This is not mine to carry." That's not selfish, that's sacred. Because when you make room in your soul by laying down what doesn't belong, you'll be surprised how light your steps feel again. And in that lightness, you'll hear God clearer, walk straighter, and move with the grace that was always yours to begin with. Let what's not yours pass. Let it pass without guilt. You were chosen for purpose, not for depletion. Even in a world humming with unseen threads of connection, every soul carries a blueprint designed only for them. Disrupting that sacred design by intervening too deeply fractures more than intention. It redirects growth. Taking on the spiritual weight of another is like intercepting a signal meant to awaken them. The message goes unanswered, the lesson remains dormant, and the one who interferes, they too fall out of rhythm with their journey. Growth, when forced or borrowed, loses its integrity. True care is not in fixing someone else's path, but in holding space beside it, letting them rise through their own fire, on their own terms. Don't just watch, be part of the journey. Hit subscribe now and step into your purpose. The best is yet to come. Galatians 6:5 says, "For each will have to bear his own load." That's a word right there. Because sometimes, in our good-hearted desire to help, we end up stepping into shoes that were never ours to fill. We start trying to walk someone else's path, carry someone else's lesson, and before we know it, we're tired in a way no rest can fix. Let me give you a picture. Picture a gardener who sees a butterfly struggling to break free from its cocoon. The struggle looks painful, so in an act of compassion, the gardener gently cuts the cocoon open. The butterfly is free, but its wings never strengthen. It never flies. What looked like help was harm. That's what happens when responsibility is misdirected. Even the purest intentions, helping, covering, fixing, can quietly become traps. In trying to repair what someone else broke, we spend hours, days, years pouring from our own well, and slowly the cracks begin to show. We don't notice it at first. We just feel a little more tired than usual, a little more irritable, a little more lost in our own purpose. That's erosion. Quiet, slow, but sure. Meanwhile, the one we're shielding never feels the full weight of their choices. They don't grow because they don't have to. They stay stuck in cycles they were meant to break out of, while we stand in the middle, absorbing impacts that were never ours to absorb. Friend, that's not love. That's interference dressed in kindness. True empowerment, it's not in saving people from their own growth. It's in stepping back with love. It's in saying, "This one's between you and God." That's not giving up. That's giving space. Space to rise. Space to learn. Space to become. You don't have to feel guilty for not fixing what's not yours. You're not anyone's savior. That role's already taken. Your job is to love, to guide when asked, and then release. Let the mirror do what it was made to do. Let them walk their road. Let them rise on their own strength. Because when they do, they won't just be better, they'll be stronger. And so will you. Walking alongside others through difficulty requires more than just empathy. It demands precision. The line between help and harm can be no wider than a breath. Lending presence is one thing. Absorbing what doesn't belong to us is another. Without that clarity, even the most generous spirit can become drained, tangled in cords it never wove. The practice of boundary setting is not withdrawal, but wisdom in motion, a conscious honoring of inner balance. These boundaries do not separate us from others. They remind us where we begin. With them we remain open, but not engulfed, available, but not undone. It is within this space that compassion becomes sustainable and service becomes sacred. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." That means your inner world, your peace, your clarity, your alignment isn't just personal, it's powerful. When your spirit is centered, when your heart is whole, that stillness speaks louder than 1,000 sermons. People don't just hear it, they feel it. Imagine a calm lake on a quiet morning. No wind, no disturbance, just still water. Now drop a stone in it. What happens? One simple ripple moves across the whole surface. That's what your presence does when you're grounded. You don't have to push, preach, or persuade. You just live from your center, and the ripple goes out. That's quiet leadership. See, inner strength isn't about carrying more weight than anyone else. It's not about running to fix every problem or smooth every wrinkle in someone else's life. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is not step in. Sometimes strength looks like stillness. When you spend all your energy managing every disruption in your environment, it might feel noble, but it drains your spirit and distracts your soul. That constant urge to soothe, to intervene, to control, it begins as care, but can end as chaos. You start losing your focus. Your peace gets fractured, and before long, you're no longer leading from overflow. You're living in depletion. But friend, you don't have to do that. Stepping back doesn't mean you've stopped loving. It means you've started discerning. It means you've realized that every person has their own storm to face, their own lesson to learn, their own God moment waiting in the middle of the mess. Don't just watch, be part of the journey. Hit subscribe now and step into your purpose. The best is yet to come. Let them have that moment. Your job is not to hold everything together. Your job is to hold yourself together so others can see what wholeness looks like and be inspired to find their own. You're not being cold. You're being wise. You're not being distant. You're being divine. There is holy strength in stillness and sacred power in choosing peace over performance. Stay centered, stay clear, and watch the ripple of your life reach further than your words ever could. The art of refusal, when done from a place of wisdom, is not rejection, but realignment. Declining what dilutes your purpose or derails your path is an act of reverence toward your inner world. It reminds others that your energy is not endless, and your time is sacred. Boundaries in this context are less about distance and more about devotion to your evolution, your balance, your truth. They are refined through trial and insight, becoming clearer as your sense of self matures. To say no in this light is to say yes to a deeper journey, one where you remain whole, available, and empowered to uplift without losing yourself in the process. Living with awareness transforms the act of service into something sacred, where giving and evolving no longer compete, but nourish one another. In this state, compassion becomes precise, not reactive, and choices emerge from inner clarity rather than obligation. By honoring the distinction between empathy and self-sacrifice, we begin to walk a path that uplifts without depletion. This approach fortifies not only personal integrity, but also the collective pulse, where growth is not extracted from one to benefit another, but arises in parallel. When each person tends to their own awakening, a silent architecture of unity is built, where mutual respect replaces codependence and shared evolution flows from individual responsibility. In this framework, the invisible patterns of cause and result cease to be abstract. They become the scaffolding of conscious living. The lessons once learned through hardship begin arriving through insight. Energy once lost in rescuing is now reinvested in presence. When life is approached with intention, aligned with deeper truths, every encounter becomes a chance to plant better seeds. And when this becomes the norm, when souls begin to rise through their own alignment, the greater whole responds. Harmony is not something imposed from above. It is shaped in the hands of those willing to live awake within the unseen laws that bind us all. Matthew 5:14 says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." That means your life, when lived with intention, becomes a light, not a spotlight, demanding attention, but a steady glow, a quiet guidepost, a gentle signal to those around you that there's another way to live, deeper, truer, more aligned with purpose. Think about a lighthouse. It doesn't chase ships. It doesn't shout or run up and down the shore trying to get noticed. It simply shines, steady, grounded, constant. And because it does, lives are guided, storms are braved, and safe harbors are found. That's what your life becomes when you make choices from a place of awareness. Every small, intentional decision, how you speak, how you show up, how you love, carries the silent power to shift not just your path, but the paths of those who cross it. You don't need to perform, persuade, or prove anything. True transformation doesn't come through pressure. It comes through presence. It's how you move through the ordinary, with care, with clarity, with a heart tuned in to something higher. The world teaches that impact is loud, that influence needs a stage, but heaven knows that real growth is often quiet. It happens in the background, in kitchens, in hallways, in car rides, in how you greet a stranger or comfort a friend. And here's the truth. People notice the peace you carry. They notice the way you're not shaken by every storm. They feel the difference, even if they can't name it. That's what draws them. Not noise, but depth. You don't have to fix anyone. Just live aligned. Just be the lighthouse. Stand tall in grace, stay lit in truth, and watch how your steady light calls others home to their own. That, friend, is what it means to lead without striving, and to change the atmosphere just by being fully, faithfully you. To walk in kindness is to plant invisible markers along the road, signals that influence even when unnoticed. Small gestures, when rooted in sincerity, ripple far beyond the moment. Declining to absorb negativity, choosing integrity when no one watches, offering stillness in place of reaction, these acts become spiritual architecture, shaping a reality more aligned with truth. Wisdom becomes the lens that sharpens discernment. Presence becomes the anchor that holds focus. Ethical clarity becomes the compass that steers action. These inner tools, once sharpened, become the guardians of a purposeful life. Care for the self is not a detour, it is the ignition. When we nourish our own essence, body, heart, and consciousness, we strengthen our ability to serve. Boundaries become easier to define, decisions clearer to make, and compassion less likely to collapse into depletion. In that state of balance, our presence becomes restorative. We stop trying to save and instead begin to uplift. And in the seemingly mundane moments, offering time without expectation, meeting another's gaze with genuine warmth, we build something profound, a culture of contribution that grows not through effort alone, but through energetic integrity. Choosing to live with awareness opens the doorway to a deeper unfolding, one where growth is not forced, but chosen again and again through presence, honesty, and intentional action. This path, though quiet in appearance, holds transformative power. Each act rooted in integrity, each moment surrendered to reflection, rewires the fabric of our future. Gradually, the self-centered narrative dissolves, replaced by a recognition of shared existence. What once seemed like separate lives become reflections of the same truth, unfolding in countless forms. Through this lens, kindness is no longer just a virtue. It is a catalyst for evolution. Karma, far from being a system of punishment, reveals itself as a mirror for transformation. Mistakes made, patterns repeated, pain passed down. They are not prisons, but invitations. Invitations to choose differently, to pause instead of react, to rebuild with more care. A heart that once hardened can learn to open again through deliberate softness. A life once misaligned can be guided gently back into harmony. This is not a solitary pursuit, but a shared ascension. As one rises, others are called upward, not by force, but by resonance. Growth, especially the kind that rewrites karma, demands the courage to examine what was once hidden. It asks for presence where there was avoidance, for truth where there was silence. Yet with each honest step forward, the terrain becomes lighter. There's a quiet joy in knowing that the future is not fixed, but shaped by the energy we commit to now. What we choose to embody today becomes the thread that weaves our destiny, moment by conscious moment. Don't just watch, be part of the journey. Hit subscribe now and step into your purpose. The best is yet to come. So this path we walk is not merely about righting past wrongs or seeking reward. It is about becoming fully awake within our choices, to offer care without abandoning ourselves, to move through the world not with obligation, but with presence, to lead not by instruction, but by example. As we walk this journey of renewal, let every gesture carry the imprint of compassion, and let our lives echo a higher intention, one that uplifts, unites, and transforms. In this way, our footprints don't just mark the earth, they shape the future.